you to, I guess what we would call a full house. We ran out of chairs 20 minutes ago, so if any of y'all are real familiar with each other, just sit in each other's lap. I don't think anybody understands anything about it. But we'll try to get through this thing as soon as we can tonight, because I know standing up gets tiring on a lot of people, especially at my age. So we're going to try to move through it. I'm going to shoot for, I'd like to shoot for an hour and a half. That may not be realistic, but that's what we're going to do. But anyway, welcome again to Lake Asbury. Most of you are residents out here, and I think most of you know what we're here for. But just to reiterate, we're here to discuss the rezoning proposal for a common address of 839 Lake Asbury Drive, also known as Team Effort. And what we're going to do, and it's good we can come together in this format, because so many countries throughout the world you don't get a chance to hear, you don't get a chance to speak, you don't even chance to know what's going on. That's a good thing about America. We're still participatory government, and it just makes me feel good to see everyone come out tonight. We're going to be part of the town hall. But with that said, first thing we need to do is get up and pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Seats, please. Just a few introductions. We're glad to have the gentleman that put this community together decades ago, Tom Ryan. We're glad to have his son here tonight with us. Jim, raise your hand, and being a good Methodist he was, you can tell that we're still following the Methodist tradition. Kristen Burke, our current county commissioner. Kay Manley from Lake Lot Association. Okay. Worker from MSBD and Lake Asbury Community.
I'm sorry.
You get two salaries.
No, I don't think so.
Chris and Kim Russell from Lowell. Chris, there you go. Paul Pierce from Lake Asbury Community Association. Gary Cooper from the Lake Asbury Association. And Renita Bush.
Bernita's on the porch.
She's on the porch.
She's here.
Overall meeting. Is there something we said?
It's
Renita, she's probably in remorse. She just retired from the fire department.
Hey, Gaylord.
Ma'am.
Don't forget the Queen.
The Queen.
The Queen.
How could I forget Wanda Green, the secretary of I lived out here, which is a pretty good place. Folks, again, I apologize for the seating, but we're a very formal group. The restrooms are in the back, so just feel free to migrate back there if you need it. If you want to curl up on, lean up against the wall, that's fine, or any other accommodations that might make you feel comfortable. Except that can just sit right there. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. So what we're going to do tonight, this format has worked for us in the past, and it's been proven to work for us many times. So we're going to stay with this format. What it is, we have a proposal, and we're going to hear that as residents of our community. That proposal will be presented by Mr. Jones and Ms. Frazier, and that they will introduce themselves. They will tell you kind of background of why we're here, how we got here, where they're trying to go with their project, and then after that, we will have an open discussion with questions. Show of hands, please. Now, we tried to do questions during the presentation before, and it turned into an organized brawl. It just don't work. So in the interest of being civil, and in the interest of letting people know that the people in Lake Asbury have got good sense, we're going to try this and hopefully keep the adversarial part of it out of the meeting. So when everybody leaves here tonight, we want all questions answered. That's why we're here. But we were sharing rumors earlier, and I've heard some doozies. So we're going to let the people that's got this proposal share this information with you, and then we'll turn it over to the group to ask questions of those people that presented. Is that okay with everybody? Better be, because that's the way we're going to do it. Okay, with that said, I'd like to introduce Doug Jones. Doug? Come on up, brother. Doug is is what? One of the directors for Team Effort. So he's going to introduce himself, tell you what Team Effort is, and we'll just take it from there. All right, brother, go right ahead.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, I'm Doug Jones. I work with Team Effort. I've been there for 27 years, which look there means from the very beginning. So I got involved in Team Effort. And we wanted to share with you guys tonight because I know that, like Gaylord said, people just wondering what's going on, what's happening, and you need the information, you'll get it tonight, get your questions in. The Team Effort is a youth mission organization, so I'm with them. I'm directly there. We're not developers. We're a nonprofit organization, and we just are glad to be here in front of you guys and hopefully clarify what we want to do, what our proposals are. And I'm just going to kind of cue off these things. I'm sorry if I'm standing in some people's way. But Team Effort is a 501c nonprofit organization, youth ministry, and we've had mission camps, not that we own. There's only one piece of property we own, and that's that property there. But camps where we do youth group mission projects. You know, when a church youth group goes, they all go on youth projects and mission projects a lot. We're one of the organizations that organizes that for the groups. And we're glad to do it. We have fun doing it. And we've done it, and we'll say 27 years at 50 different locations around the country, overseas. But this is where our headquarters are. This is where our main camp is, and this is where we relocated to some years ago. I'll get to that. In case you can't read it, Team Effort provides youth. This is basically the mission statement. So it's not a for-profit company again. Our goal is to provide youth group mission trips filled with opportunities to put your faith into action by serving others and return home with lifelong memories and a renewed excitement for Jesus Christ. Now, I know that you're not here to hear about Team Effort, but that is the owner of the property right now, and I've been asked to at least share some of what we do and what we do in the community also, because I think that's an important part of what happens out of that property. Pre-COVID, Team Effort mentored youth by leading mission trips for over 200,000 young volunteers over the 27 years, all at one time, obviously. And all right here on this property. The impact on the youth, I think it's pretty obvious. A lot of you guys nodded when I said, you know, how youth groups go on mission trips and hurricane disaster relief and put their faith into action and do something for somebody beyond themselves. And it impacts their lives. Sometimes it just changes their lives. It certainly has an impact on their lives. They're given an opportunity to reach out and service to others. We're going to show you a few examples of that from right here in Clay County this event, to increase their leadership skills and contribute to the community that they're serving in. They're at the Navajo Indian Reservation down in Puerto Rico or Texas or after Hurricane Katrina or right here in Clay County. They're coming in different church youth groups, by the way, different denominations. When it's young people, it's easy to have all the different denominations together because they're not quite as worried about the different theological changes from one denomination to the next. And they come and they do mission work during the day, and then come and they do camp stuff and canoe and swim and have worship at night. The impact on the community is just, well, I'll show you that in Clay County, for example, this is what we do in the different communities around the country. But in Clay County, we serve in neighborhoods by rebuilding and replacing homes lost in hurricane or that just need repair. Building wheelchair ramps, replacing roofs, painting houses, and more than that, we go downtown sometimes, Jacksonville, to work in a community center, homeless shelter, that type of thing. There are local youth groups. I don't want you to think it's all out-of-town groups that come to this camp. But it's kind of weird because, like, groups from here do come to this camp and work. But sometimes they'll go up to Altoona, Pennsylvania to do mission work with the same way that the group from Altoona that come down here, which has always been kind of weird to me. But we're glad to have local groups that get involved in what's going on here. And I'm going to show you some pictures. And these really surprised me because there were some places around Clay County that I know everybody in this room would reach out and help these people if you knew about it. But a couple of women that, I'm going to say old ladies, I'm an old man, that their homes are falling apart and they're as bad as anything I've seen anywhere. This is Beverly's home. And again, this is just to say, this is not why you're here, but to let you know what's happening with what that property means to us and why we want to keep the camp on that property. Okay? And you can see that very well. That you could drive a car through the hole in her house. And the other hole in her house was her family room. She had this wing on that. And she had to walk across the beam in the floor to get from her family room to her kitchen because the floor was right. She walked across the metal beam. And there are organizations that would have helped her. It just so happens that we found her and we helped her. This is another part of her home. And it's just unbelievable that 15 minutes from here, you have an older woman living by her. She had 55-gallon drums that were full and overflowing from the leaks in her roof. Oh, and some of those fall through the floor. She was going to fall through the floor and die. And I'm not trying to pull on my heartstrings. I'm just saying this is part of what happened. We'd seen effort. We were able to. We don't have a lot of money. Team Effort is funded by the youth groups that come in. Kids pay camp fees. That's what happens with this type of organization. We were able to purchase, and the building department loved these portables that we got because they're all sealed. We put that portable there. It's not done yet. This is Beverly's new home. She got shutters and landscaping, and someone donated a car to her. She's in there now. But it's we got the inside of it, new cabinetry, new kitchen, new everything. And she's in there, she's safe, and she's dry. After Hurricane Irma, and again, right up on Black Creek, there's Miss Gloria. Gloria has a home on Black Creek. She doesn't have any money. She has a home. She's been there forever. As you guys know, the water she's standing in there now with her son, can you tell that? That was up to the peak of her roof. So it's receded by that picture. We found her. She had nothing she could do. We worked with FEMA just on approval in the county, not for funding. We set her up at a camper next to her house. And she lived in that for quite some time. And the house was gutted inside. This is all with our contractors and youth groups. And the building inspectors that came and inspected these were shocked that a bunch of teenagers could actually do the kind of work they did because our contractors have worked with the youth since, well, one of for 20 years and one since Hurricane Katrina. And so they know how to help these youth groups actually accomplish things that even the building inspectors are happy with. That is just more like the whole back of the roof the whole back of the wall had to be replaced. And that's move-in day. Which really more of a move-in month, I think, but that's all right. Team Effort, that's the type of thing that we do out of the camp. So if you wonder why, as we present what we want to do with the property, you wonder why we want to keep the camp there and hopefully do something with part of the property, not just the whole property, because selfishly we want to keep our mission camp there. But we also need to do something with the rest of the property, and that's what we're about to get into. In 2020, Team Effort camps were completely shut down because of COVID. 2021, we operated at about 30%. And had to begin closing some camps down because of the new Delta variant. And the impact, when it says financial impact has been devastating, it's been devastating. So when we talk to you about what we want to do with selling part of this camp, please note it's never our business plan to buy the property and sell part of the property. It's the only plan we have to save the camp. Is to do something with part of the property and try to keep the camp there. That's our goal. We have done everything we can to stay alive. It gives me a heart. Honestly, it gives me a heart for 40% of camps in the southeast are closing on our business. So we're fighting that because of COVID. And it gives me a heart for ministries, churches, organizations, businesses, spas, gyms, you name it, who have suffered 100% loss of income. In other words, we lost everything because we're a spring and summer camp. So when spring or summer got shut down, it was done. And a business or an organization that doesn't have an asset to sell, that's why they're closing down. We have the property. We have a 1993 and 2005 F-150, and we have the property, and that's it. And the F-150. All right, that brings us to the asset. That's the property. It's 100 acres. Again, we bought it in 2011. It's operated as a youth mission camp. We bought it from the United Methodist Church. We've been operating it as that ever since. We actually rented it from the church for 1 year. And they courted us to try and get it to buy, to see if we were interested. We bought it. It's been a blessing. You know, we've done some improvements. We've improved what's there, added very little, but done a lot of improvements there. And it's the asset that we need, hopefully, to solve this COVID debt that is otherwise completely insurmountable to them. Our options. We can maintain the camp on the property and meet its financial obligations by selling a portion of the property. Or we sell the entire property to a developer and cease operations or relocate. All right, so why did I show you the heart and soul of what team effort is? To let you know that we want to fight for that. We want to fight to stay on the property. It means a lot to us. We moved here. We moved family here. We moved friends here. We moved the organization. We relocated everything here. And we're vested, and this is our home. And this is our community, and this is our neighborhood. So we want to fight for it. I'm going to turn this over to Susan because we're about to get into the part where we talk about the nuts and bolts of what we're trying to do. But I just want to make sure that you know that this is not a profit grab. This is not a, gee, we want to sell this property. We don't want to. And we have fought. We fought pretty hard in terms of going to the county, going to people, talking to Susan, talking to engineers. How can we sell part of the property, keep this mission camp here, but be respectful of what this community is? Because this community is unique. This community is not KB Homes or Horton Homes right now. It's a unique community. And I think tonight you'll see that we might be fighting for the same type of thing you're fighting for. I really believe that. I may be wrong. But the proposal is what you want to hear the proposal, but nobody can explain it more than you, Susan. But first I'm going to grab a bottle of water.
So my name's Susan Fraser, and if you've been in Clay County for a while, you've probably heard my name and heard my voice. I was the planning director in Clay County in the 1990s. I was there for 10 years. And then since then, I went away and was a consultant in a transportation company, and now I work with landowners in Clay County. And so I know Mr. Henry from his time on the county commission, and Mr. Burke we've got that relationship as well. And so my goal is to always try and fit what people want to accomplish with what the community is. I mean, I know this community. I've been here for 30 years. And so I've seen Lake Asbury change. When I was here, the Lake Asbury Master Plan wasn't adopted. And so it was a sleepy little place. And that was a long time ago. And I know you walk out now and you see construction equipment and you see housing and you're like, oh my, it's coming. And so I would say that when Doug reached out to me, you know, his first position was we don't want to go anywhere, but we don't know what to do because we have to make enough money to pay off our debt to keep our doors open. And so my job was to look at what the county allows, what would be maybe appropriate here, and then propose in working with the county staff how to get from where we are to maybe a solution that works for everybody. And so all of you have lived in Lake Asbury. I've talked to people and who've lived here for 30 years. But let's see. So the property right now, and I'm going to talk a little bit of land use stuff, and I'm going to show you a picture. But it's located in the Lake Asbury planning district. And so when I was here in the 1990s, the county didn't have land use. It had zoning. So you would have RV zoning, and you'd have a lot size, and you would, somebody would build a subdivision, and they build the roads, and you would move into a house, right? Well, in 1991, the Florida legislature implemented growth management. They said you have to have a land use plan and zoning. So there's two pieces to the puzzle. So in 1992, the county adopted its comp plan in 1991. It was effective in 1992. This whole area of Clay County was put in what's called rural fringe. And so rural fringe was intended to be not quite the city and not quite the country. And so it was 1 unit per acre up to 3 units per acre. And so the community you're in predates most of this, right? Your lots predate 1992. So the law says what you have, you have. The county can't change it, they can't take it away from you. But around you is all dairies and tree farms and no development. So the county said, when the development comes, and we don't know when that'll be, in 1992, a long time ago, we think it should be subdivisions, right? What did the county have in 1990? It had Landing Boulevard, They had Orange Park. Floating Island didn't exist. So when I drove to work down 17 in 1992, Floating Island was all pine trees. They didn't start housing in Floating Island until 1992, 1994. So this predates all of that. So they had a land use map applied to the whole county. Your area of the county was rural fringe. And at that time, the camp for the Methodist Church was on this property. So we had land use that said residential housing, but there was a camp there. So what did I say? The rule was you couldn't take away what people have. So the zoning for a youth camp has been on this property before there was land use. So it's land use for residential and a youth camp. And so, so this is what. Okay. Oh, that's the next one. So in 2006, we adopted the Lake Asbury Master Plan, the county did. And it changed the land use then from rural fringe to Lake Asbury rural fringe. Right? It sounds pretty much the same. And that was the goal. So the state law says if somebody owns property and they can have 3 units per acre, and the county comes in and says, we've changed our mind. We think there should be 1 unit per acre. That's called the taking. Because the person who has that property has the right to 3 units per acre. And if you make that less, you have to pay for that. You have to pay for that. So the goal when the county went from old rural fringe to new rural fringe is that really everybody who had something before didn't lose it. Because that's when all the lawyers show up. So that's what this did. It said if you had rural fringe before, you have rural fringe today. Okay? So it was just a transition to the master plan. So that designation applies to the camp and to all of you. So the camp property is the big piece in the middle, and these are all your lots. Most of you, I assume, are in the Lake Asbury property. So all of you have rural fringe land use. It's rural fringe on the east side of Henry as well, where you've seen all the development. Okay? So that color in Clay County says residential, 3 units per acre. So what you're seeing over here are the dairy and the trees turning into residential subdivisions. And they're building under these rules. So rural fringe says residential. And it requires that new development has to be no less than 1 unit per acre. I can't have less. So this property is 100 acres. Right now, we can't have less than 100 lots. That's what the rules are right now. And they say they have to be served by water and sewer, central water and sewer. Now, you don't have central sewer. You all have central water, right? So you get to keep going. You get to keep going the way you are, no problem. But anybody else, the next guy, has to have sewer. And so when you pay for central water and you pay for central sewer and you build a road, that's what you get. That's what you see on the other side of Henley. They're 6,000 square foot lot minimum. They're 50-foot wide lots. And so there's, 5,000 lots that are 50 by 120. That's what's going on the other side of Henley. So it's all getting started. It's all going, but it's going. So that's what you see when you drive, and that's what the county sees in site plans every single day. So the camp property under Lake Asbury Rural Fringe could extend sewer. Sewer is at Henley. You could run the road down Lansdowne and up Aldersgate to the property. But that's money. Now, I'll tell you, the amount of money being spent in Lake Asbury right now is through no roof. Commissioner Burke can tell you what the appraisals are looking at in this district. And it's, tens of thousands of dollars an acre because the beltway's ready to open and the development's just here. Lake Asbury was planned to be the future. Well, I hate to say it, the future is kind of today. That plan's adopted 15 years ago in 2006. And it was like a picture of the future. Well, here we are. So King Edward isn't a developer. They run a youth camp. There's a nice guy, but he's not a developer. That's a blessing for him. But if he was to sell it, if he was to say, I gotta pay my mortgage, somebody can buy it. 80 homes, Green Finders, he'd be knocking on his door saying, hey, I'll write you a check. And he'd say, I'll take the check. And this is what they would do. Because that's what they do. They build the same house on the same day, they make money, and that's like all businesses. You do what you do really well, and you do it over and over and over again. And so that's what the house will continues. And that's what the next guy should do. But Doug loves the camp. And Doug's here. And he's like, what can we do that's different? So I just put this in to show you, this is what's going on. This is Henry. This is you. This is what the lots look like. And there's a lot of them. And they're all exactly the same size. Because I do that too. I draw these plans to get them permitted. So that's what they look like. And they're not evil, but they're not you. And so we would have to extend, somebody, wouldn't be me, it wouldn't be Doug, it would be a developer, they would extend that. And the only way they can make money and pay for all that, this is what's allowed. Minimum 1 unit per acre, meaning not bigger lots, but at least that. 3 units per acre, 6,000 square feet, 50 foot wide, 10-foot front yard and front porch, 5-foot side yard. That's where you're sitting in your bathroom and you reach out and you can shake hands with your neighbor next door. Rear setback 10 feet. And that's what everything on the other side of the Henry was living in. And I have to be honest, that's what people can afford. I mean, to build a house and pay, you know what the cost of living is? This is what people are paying. They're paying a lot of money for this. Not for me, but that's what they're doing. So the only way not to do this, the law says do this, is to change the requirement for central water, for central sewer. Oh, it's the central water, it's the central sewer. So we're saying this community survives without sewer. It's got central water. The lots are big. Why do you want this to have sewer? Because if we bring sewer to this property, the guy after us, they're going to be running by your house. And then they're going to be saying, hi, would you like to hook up the sewer? So that's when the dominoes start to go. So we're proposing to say you don't have to have sewer. You don't have to have sewer. Right now the county's comp plan says you have sewer, you have nothing. So if you divide your property today and you live in Lake Asbury and you want to put a house on it, central sewer. You don't get a building permit without central sewer. This applies to you too. So if how many of you are older and thinking that maybe the property you have is a lot of work, and maybe you could sell some and pay, I don't know, for some help, you have to have central sewer too. So this is me and you, and saying, that's the rule today. So how do you fix that? You do a text amendment to the comp plan. You say, when the lots are big enough and you got central water, you're going to limit central sewer. And so we're going to ask the county to think about that. Right now, we have to have at least 1 unit per acre. So if I have 100 acres, I can't have 90 lots. I have to have 100 or more. 100 or more. That's just forms already. So we talked to the staff and we said, nobody really thought about this. When it was planned in 2006, everybody thought it would look like the east side of Henley. Developers, new roads, new houses, keep on moving. Nobody really thought, well, what happens with this camp? It's one big piece of property, it's a stumbling block like this. It was unintentional. Nobody did to say it was wrong, because we just thought it'd be a camp forever. And Mr. Jones wants it to be a camp forever. COVID's just dealt in a bad hand in the last couple of years. So we're proposing to say, I can have less than 1 unit per acre. Not more, but less. Right now I can't do that. So if I sell this, Doug sells this, King Effort sells this to a developer, they have to have at least 100 lots, and they have to have central sewer. If they have central sewer in Lake Asbury, they get 3 units per acre, automatic. And that's a 50-foot lot. And we're freaked out that that's where this will end up. So it's a text change to the plan. So a team effort wants to have it taken into two. It wants to have a camp, and it wants to have a little development so it can make enough money and get out from under its mortgage. So they want less than 1 unit per acre. And we want to say, when can everybody not have sewer? Right now, so you have to have sewer. Well, if I don't have to have sewer, I don't want you to have sewer either. So we want to say, if you've got central water and a half-acre lot, you don't need central sewer. So now you can create a lot for your children. You can create a lot to sell, so you can pay your bills. So we're suggesting that 1/2 acre lot is the smallest it should be. The smallest lot it should have. No sewer, so on-site septic, central water, and 1/2 acre lot. So that's what we asked the county to consider. So we have zoning for a youth camp, right? That's what it is, it's a camp, it's the right zoning. But if we're not going to be a youth camp, our land use is rural fringe, and in this plan, our zoning is rural fringe. So the county has to give us zoning that's residential something. If we don't change the plan, that residential something is 3 units per acre, we change the plan, we think we can do what we're going to show you in a minute. It's like if it was just approved as rural fringe, this wouldn't go to the county commission. The site plan and all the improvements be approved by the county staff. That's just the process. The board says go do it, and the staff does their job, and that's all the development we see outside there now. But there's a thing called a planned unit development. So when you do a planned unit development zoning, the applicant, team effort, has to show you a picture. And then whoever they sell it to has to build that picture. They can't build a different picture. And this is in a public hearing. And you can come and you can say, I don't like that, I don't like that. And the county commission gets to say, fix all that. And once it's approved, nobody can build anything else. They can't go smaller, they can't go bigger, they can build that picture. So we think that lets you as a community see what the heck this might look like. So we submitted a PUD zoning application, 74 lots. Not 100 lots, but 74 lots. 64 of them are half acre, and the rest are 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7 acres in size. So probably about what you have, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. The larger lots on Lake Asbury Drive are 1 acre to 7 acres in size. Every lot is 100 feet wide. So what did I tell you everything's built on the east side? 50 feet. 50 feet. These lots are 100, and that's what you have. You have a 100-foot lot, and you have a nice house, and you have some space between you and your neighbors. When you go to a 50-foot lot, there is no space. You barely trees between the houses. So this is what you have. The lots on Lake Avenue Drive and Aldersgate that will actually have driveways are actually wider than 100 feet. So this plan that we've got will let the camp stay because they can sell a piece and keep a piece. And I'll show you the picture. We'll show you how it goes. We've got a 100-foot buffer around the bottom of the property where we abut other people. So if you're our neighbor, there's a 100-foot vegetative buffer. So that's as wide as your lot. And as you know, this is a wooded site. There's lots of trees. We provide parks for the people who will live in this community because Lake Asbury says everybody should be able to get to a park. So we have a park, we have 2 parks. And then 54 of the 74 lots are not on an existing road. They're on a road that's inside. So when you drive by an Aldersgate, you wouldn't see them. When you drive by on Lake Asbury Drive, you wouldn't see them. And so the site plan, I have a color plan I'll show you in a minute. This is Aldersgate, and instead of it making the 90-degree, it would also go straight. So the lots in here are all internal to the project, and they're 100 feet wide and at least 220 feet. So they're half-acre lots. So if you are out here, you don't see these guys. So unless you live in here, you don't get to go in there.
We'll see him.
We'll see 'em.
We'll see him.
There's a 100-foot buffer all the way around the outside, right? So for people who have their lots that back up here, they're gonna have the trees all around the outside. This is the lake.
And if I
This
lived
is
there,
all
I'd
their
have a
state.
clue.
All of these lots, these are a minimum of an acre, that's 7 acres. So these lots would have driveways. This one's 140 feet wide, this one's 120 feet wide. The lots across the street are 100. So in other words, we're what you have in this community now. This is where the camp is, this dark line. So this is not today. That's not for now. The camp stays. So the camp driveway actually is here, and the camp buildings are in this location, and their little dock is in this area, and they're gonna be a camp. And so they're gonna, the likely plan, and Doug can talk about, where he thinks this might go, is to develop this and leave all the rest of it the way it is. And so this is that, how do you split a baby? How do you keep the camp and build some houses?
Oh, here he goes.
So we're gonna put this up. So this is what that looks like. When you can see it a little better. Put this on the So this is the buffer down the edge. And y'all can come up and take pictures once. We'll put it up. You're welcome to do that. So these are the large lots. It'll be like yours. There'll be an area cleared for a house, and there'll be a lot of woods. This is actually the camp, so it wouldn't change. You've got lots here, and you've got lots internal to that street that's there.
Should we create those?
Got it? And the only other thing we did, because when we look at that, Doug said, I know those lots are half acre, but on a piece of paper, you don't know what that is. So what we did is drew, that's the size of the lots across the street. For every one of our lots, it's 3.6 lots across the street. So a half acre lot is the same as 3 lots across the street. So we did this just so that when you look at this, you don't have an idea how big those lots are.
I don't care.
But this is what's being built across the street.
Still small.
Just like to be able to look and go, oh my, that's the difference.
We know what it's going to do to our community.
So we're here to answer questions. Because we're going to go to, the next place we go is to the planning commission. Planning commission is next Tuesday. Tuesday
We'll be
night
there.
at 7 p.m. We expect a lot of you to be there. We want you to provide comments to the county commission based on what we want to do, not what you think we might do. So if they were to approve what we're proposing, they would approve a plan, and that's all that can be built, nothing else. So we expect you to form your own opinion and express that to the board and to the planning commission.
Don't trust her.
But it's not something else. It's this. And so what we're saying is, in the area you live in with central water, you don't have to have central sewer. If we don't change that, you have to have central sewer too. If we change the plan the way we're asking, you can have lots that are bigger than are currently allowed. Right now, you can only have those small lots. So when we're done with that, that applies to you too. That makes it easier for you to sell to your son.
That's extortion. That's absolutely what it is, extortion.
Yeah, and so it's just, and so I think we're having to take questions, and so if you raise your hand, we'll have to answer questions.
So it's a two-part question. So you're asking us, because you don't want to run the sewer, who's going to fix the road? You're going to have all these people coming in on our 2 little roads where our dams are failing?
Yup.
They're 100-year-old dams, and they want to take the lake owners and charge them $2,400 a year to fix these dams and apply for grants. You haven't made one mention about improving our roads, improving our neighborhood. You're only talking about you. And you say that's 100 acres and you're going to go for 74 homes. What are you doing? Like 25 more, we can just have a party and don't have to do this.
Bravo.
So when development now pays what's called a mobility fee. So every home that's built, when they get their building permit, will pay $6,500 to Clay County. And that's.
That's a whole lot.
Why is there no road improvement? You want to build your new road, what about our road?
Okay, if I can answer that?
Yes, it is. Answer my question about the road.
But I can't yell over that. So when we give that money to Clay County, your roads are public roads. And Clay County,
Not the dam, they make
Nope.
us pay for it.
you must own the dam.
The lake lot owners only.
Well, then, again, you.
So can we put up a gate so they can't get to their house?
Yes! Woo!
And they don't come over our dams.
So Clay County owns public roads.
Dams are private.
Public roads, and I drove on this road to get here. And you drove on this road whether you're in the local association.
What are you gonna do to improve it though? You're talking about all this extra traffic.
Where I asked ahead of time to hold your questions. I'll ask you one more time.
Wait a minute.
Hold your questions.
I can
Let her
remember
finish.
them.
You can write them down if you can't remember them. At the end of the presentation, then you ask your questions.
She gave her, she asked,
She gave him permission.
she asked us.
I don't want this to turn into a brawl, and that's where we're headed for the questions.
So all I can say
Let the
is.
lady finish, and ask your questions. That's all I
Lady,
ask.
where's the lady?
So all I can say is, we will pay for impact to road, and you will talk to the county commissioner about needs that you have about paving or potholes, that, we are paying what is required by the county for development. And then you work with the county to decide priorities, that's not us. So we have to pay, and 2 years ago you didn't pay anything, and now you pay. So the county, that's the whole process. So the county
2 years
is
ago, we
in
didn't pay
trouble, and they prioritize you with the funds that they have. So, they're public roads.
What is your proposed interest in, entrance into?
Ma'am, did you understand what I said? Hold your questions to the end. Let her finish, otherwise we're gonna be here all night. Please, please.
Go ahead.
She is taking the question.
Go ahead.
So what is the proposed entrance into this development?
So
How are they getting there?
So Alder's Gate, you come Branscombe, Alder's Gate, and when you come in, and you know, there's a 90-degree in Branscombe, or Alder's Gate, it goes straight in. So this will be a T intersection, and you'll come straight in and down. So these will be paved roads with sidewalks and, yes, ma'am.
Hi. I'm Carol Weisenberger. My concerns are the dams. Lake LARC dam is not in good condition. We tried to communicate with the owners of the property now for 2.5 years that I know of, to no avail. It is not in good condition. So I want to know, amongst other things, what would be done. I'm not asking for an answer now.
Okay, we have an
I'm putting it
answer.
on the table.
I can't answer that. When the Florida DEP came and inspected the dams, they came and did a thorough inspection of our dam also. And there were divers and soundings and everything. And the Florida DEP did a very extensive study of the dam. We were very concerned because we didn't know what they were going to come up with. They came up with a list of repairs that needed to be done to put that dam in the best condition it can be in. We wanted them, I'm not sure why they wanted, but we didn't argue with them. And we signed an agreement with a local company that does this kind of work to come in and do the repairs to the dam. Luckily, it's not an amount of, we have to surmount it one way or the other, we have to do it. But the dam was inspected thoroughly by the DEP. The report through the engineers was sent to us. We located local companies that do that kind of work. And have contracted with them to put the dam in the kind of condition for the DEP demands that we do.
And that,
So that's good.
and they have that contract signed, that contract value is $54,000?
$55,000.
$55,000, and then it's going to come down to the next.
Okay. I got that you've been working on it. I'm sorry you haven't followed it.
No.
My next question has to do with the two other existing dams that not only you will be driving across, but also all your construction equipment will drive across.
And the dirt.
Those dams are not in good shape. They cannot take more traffic, particularly heavy construction traffic. So we need to look for a solution. I have no problem with your community. We have to look for a solution that does not bring it through Lake Asbury and gives people another way to get out of the community.
There's a route in and out to get to this point, but I can tell you right now that that's still passing people's homes. I mean, it's avoiding the dams.
We're not
It's
talking
still
about
passing people's
homes.
homes, yeah.
We're not talking about homes. We're talking about the dams. The dams are very important to everybody sitting in this room.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you live on them, on the lake, or whether you are a ranchette, it adds value to our community.
There is a route that avoids the dams, and we've already discussed that.
Okay, what is that route?
What is that route?
Arthur Moore, Thomas to Arthur Moore, all the way around.
Oh, don't bring it through my neighborhood.
Back Romeo, 218.
What I hear is an infrastructure conversation with the county. I can't fix the dams. I mean, I can be in the room and I'm happy to sit in the room and help you figure out how to fix the dams. But the people who are coming are no different than your kids coming home from college, or you built a house right across from here, it's brand new.
We're not talking about.
My kids don't bring a dump truck full of dirt.
And so the point is, you're a public road that carries public traffic. If
We
the
are
county
not
wants to put-
interested in that. We're interested in what added amount of traffic you're putting in, and not just that, you're not gonna be out there to monitor where the construction equipment comes and goes.
And
We can't afford it.
that the county, if you drive on a public road, it doesn't have a weight limit on it.
Then I'll
it's a
get
public
one.
road. No, and that would be your answer. If you believe the answer is so,
I've already got an appointment to try that.
in other words, yes, you would have to go to your county public works and engineering department and say, help us with the.
Why don't y'all pitch in about $4 million to help us,
There you go.
if you're doing that development?
But I,
road that comes from the back of your property that goes out to 218, have you both decided connecting them to that road?
so it's an unpaved road.
Eagle.
I have that.
You brought up everything across Henley. I went to one of the board meetings, and they have to do improvements. They have to go parks, schools, roads.
I'm gonna do that too.
Where?
I'm an existing road, and I have a park here, and I have a park here, and a park here.
And we have a park across the way.
And I'm gonna pay $6,500 a house.
So nothing.
$6,500 a house.
I'm gonna pay the fees that are going to
Just say nothing for us. You're gonna do that's it.
I'm gonna pay
Down the clubs and down these roads, more damage, that's it. Just like Sanders, it's all apart now.
And all I can say is, that's the county public asset commander. And I mean, my 50 lots can't do that. They can't do that, sir.
Well, this presentation is, actually winding down because we got more questions, we got certain sections, so we could go ahead and, Don, you had your hand up, Lyle.
If I understand this correctly, there's actually two proposals, right? That one? And if not, he's gonna sell the property and make it look like a cross country?
Well, if this doesn't go through, he's got to solve his mortgage problem. So he will sell it to someone, and the next person you see standing here won't be me. It'll be somebody.
You answer it.
Yeah. So we're trying to get to this piece, and we can control this. Once the property is sold, it'll be the next guy.
Has anybody done like a wild maintenance man?
We haven't given all that stuff yet.
You've heard the story, not by the Gary?
Yes. Go gopher tortoises, huge gopher tortoises. So you're gonna pay like they did in Central Florida, where they paid $13,000 to run over the gopher tortoise's nest because it ain't their problem. That was just in the news. $13,000. That's the fine they got away with. They killed them.
We don't propose to do that at all.
Oh, and you're gonna pick them up and move them?
We have, the name of the company is Access Environmental came out, they did a preliminary environmental study, no, there was a secondary environmental study, and we understand it is expensive to relocate them. Towns were hopeful because this gentleman who's been doing this for a lot of decades said that 100-foot buffer could be a very good place to relocate some of them. So we know we have to relocate them, and just to follow up, and I may be talking out of turn a little bit, but that's our fear, is we're trying to do something that dictates to the developer as part of this property is sold what they can do, they can't change. As opposed to, we just sell to the developer, and then nobody's leaving a 100-foot buffer on your property or anything like that. So we're trying to do. And yes, we have addressed that, and I agree. We have addressed it with professionals.
Because I drive by every weekend picking up trash along your perimeter, and I've seen the gopher tortoise nest. I know they're there.
There's no question, yeah. And we know it's not cheap. What we know is, we're not trying to hide it or do anything. What we know is, that's going to be a lot of money. The developer is going to calculate moving those in into what he would pay, so they have to be addressed. And it will. It is being addressed.
Just trying to have your hand up for a while.
So, I mean, first of all, like, a lot of us live in Lake Asbury because the quality of life is great here because we like the trees. We like walking down Lake Asbury Drive and there not being anything on that side but deer that come running across the street, and then driving down to go see Toby and going for evening walks. And like, you're talking about just taking all of the trees down in our neighborhood to just throw up a bunch of lots, which per capita is way more than what we already have going on. And I'm like, piggyback off what she said about driving across the dam. We don't live on the lakes. We're not technically Lake Asbury. We live on that dam, and so do many other people, dear friends of ours. I don't know if you've ever seen when you're leaving and you're crossing and you look down at the driveway. You're talking about sending construction workers, and I have been dealing with the traffic out here. I have a daughter that's about to be driving, and she is pulling out of, what's the degree of our driveway? Has anybody driven across the dam and seen the angle? Have you have any idea how hard it is to pull out of that driveway? And you're talking about, I've seen the way these guys drive out on Henley, and they speed, and they don't pay attention to anything that's going on. And you're talking about having people's lives on your hands when you've got people coming across that dam, and the people that pull out of those driveways are having to deal with those trucks coming across. You can't even, like, not to mention the damage that you're going to do. So just think about the people and the quality of life in this neighborhood and what you're doing.
So anybody who would develop this plan is not the guy on the east side of Henley. Because they are pluses, stucco.
The east guy on Henley has water and sewer. You're proposing just water with septic tanks. Is that correct?
Correct.
I would say, I would do sewer too. We want you to do sewer. If you're going to move forward with this, do sewer.
But if you do sewer, there'll be 300 lines.
No.
Because nobody understands, you can't have one or the other. So because
Here's what's going to happen.
and not
Sewer over the years.
Extortion.
It trickles downhill. Where does it go?
Into the lake.
Okay, we got enough of that. So if you want to propose this, you're going to come up with sewer. You're going to keep it at the 74 lots, and then we're going to probably get a lawyer involved, and then it's going to go downhill from there.
So the health, okay, hold on. So the health department permits septic tanks. You have central water and a septic tank perfectly allowed. You get 4 units per acre. 4 units per acre. This is less than 1 unit per acre. So anybody get a septic tank, and we talked to them, and we said in this area the soils are great. Most of you, 90% of you don't have mounted septic, you have it at grade. So in other words, the treatment of household waste in a septic tank on a half-acre lot is twice as big as what they require. So that's not a health issue. This is our,
So go ahead and do a study, hire somebody to do a study of our lakes.
we
Go
have
ahead,
private.
no, go ahead, hire somebody to do it.
Come down and go swimming.
I already know.
Sorry, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Mr. Jones, short of developing, what have you done to try and use your financial resources?
Yes.
Financial problems, CARES Act, surrounding churches, I think there's a lot of.
We tried the CARES Act, we got the EIDL, which is Economic Injury Disaster Loan, from the federal government, SBA. We got PPP. We fired staff, we let staff go, we dropped our salaries, we went out salary. We tried a fundraiser, which Team Effort, in 27 years, has not done a fundraiser because we're of the belief that the youth groups have paid to come to help with this mission trips, and the church calls and says, hey, we want to give you some extra money. There's missionaries overseas that your groups aren't paying to go see. Give money to them. Had we accepted that money for 27 years, we wouldn't be in this problem. And I will say that.
How about local churches? I mean,
How about grants?
We've tried to look for grants. Let me say, Team Effort always tried to keep this debt low, and we had hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. Because of COVID, we had a good seven-figure debt. We did try to fund. We reached out to youth groups. We reached out to churches that we've known. We reached out to alumni who have helped a little bit. The first time we've ever done a fundraiser, it didn't even touch it. So there were grand efforts made to try and not have to sell the property, which left us with, we had one asset other than the F-150s, to be able to clear the debt. And we know what if we sell it to a developer. I've educated myself, and I don't want that to happen anymore. Let me say this real quick. Just so, it's just kind of the heart of it. I know, I guess what I'm trying to say is that Team Effort identifies more than maybe you think. I hear you. I'm with you on how you feel about this. We don't want it to turn into something prohibitive. It's our neighborhood too. When I say we uproot our families to move here, we uproot our families to move here. And one of my sons went to high school, played football, and went wherever he's back. I have another son sitting here who, my wife's sitting here with, who met his wife at that camp. We love that camp up here. It's my favorite dog at that camp. This is our neighborhood too. This is our community too. It was never our business plan to sell the property. It seems to exist, even with a lot of us. We just want to do it right. I think we have a plan that'll save camp and respect the community. And I know y'all may not agree with that. I get it. All we can do is agree. My other son is not here because he's in the Clay County Sheriff's Deputy. Unless we have to call him.
You just sell it to another youth camp, or at least put it out there to keep it a youth camp. It's designated as a youth camp.
Well,
it should stay a youth camp.
And we did research that 40% of youth camps have gone bankrupt. So this is through, we really find something different. Through the ACA, 40% of youth camps in the Southeast have gone bankrupt because of COVID.
They can't team up.
They might be, so I don't know.
Team F.
First,
they have the interest. Right,
So is the Catholic Church,
we've
but
tried
not
to
with 6 million.
approach you about this.
I think, the reason I think that would be very difficult is because First Baptist Jacksonville sold their camp. The Girl Scout camp. Well, that was before COVID, I think, but camps are closed down. They don't pay, can't imagine a church or anybody's going to be looking to purchase camp.
This is a fire pit.
All it takes is one more variant, and you lose another son. So we really have tried. We really have given it a really good effort.
All right, let's move this along. Yes, sir, in the back.
Real estate is a multi-stage development thing. Let's say that this passes and that these houses are put in there. Does this impose some type of moratorium on the future sale of the youth camp?
No, it's 64. All of these homes is to save the youth camp, which is in here. If the youth camp fails anyway, And I'd like to stand here and tell you, we're doing everything God's green acre we can possibly find to do to save it. But there's not many here. But these 3 or 4 acre lots in here, we totally failed. And then there is, I mean,
10 inside.
10, yeah, 10.
5 acres.
We don't want that.
Okay, so if you take the ministry part out of this good seed thing, then this is phase 1 of full development.
It's phase 1, we hope to never get to phase 2.
No, phase 1, period.
Phase 1, we're going to come, so we're trying.
Enough, folks. Question number 4.
Yes, ma'am. You build the houses and everything, it's on that Lake LARC. Okay, we have 3 lakes out here. We have a South Lake, North Lake, and Lake Ryan, that we pay dues. We keep up the lakes. Is this lake, these houses gonna be able to get our lake?
Who owns the lake under this plan?
So this is a private lake, and they have no access.
They have no access to our lake.
But we'll get the drainage.
But they have access to our dams.
Under this plan.
Any Lou?
My name's Dan Lou. I've been living in Lake Asbury for almost 50 years. I live right next door to Doug and all that property. My property is going back. Tom and Hazel Ryan, they were real close friends of mine. And Tom told me when I bought my lot that there would never be nothing there on that 100 acres except a youth camp. And that's what I believe. Now, what happened to all that? He said if the Methodist people ever decide to sell it, it would revert back to the original owner that gave it to them to start with.
That's what Ms.
Who can answer that question?
There, Mr. Ryan is
That's what I was
ready.
told.
Mr. Lowe, I got 5 years on you. I've been here 55 years. And no, there's not a reversion clause. And my family would love that if there was. Because then it's beautiful property. And just want to say, the whole community, vision of this community was for that. Nobody at the church wasn't going to be able to fill the mission. I applaud team efforts, mission, but I really hope that can stay a key.
We're trying. I mean,
Amen,
I
Tim.
can't tell you how hard we're trying. It's impossible. It won't say it can't. If we can't do this, then we just sell the whole property. It won't say it can't. But this is the way to keep it camp. That's perfect.
It's extortion. Filthy and dirty. She's saying if she can't.
County's still talking.
Oh, you Mr. Ryan, go ahead, Tom.
You mentioned the possibility of other owners. Have you considered co-ownership with other groups? Because I know there are other groups that would be interested in the property, that you could still have a camp, but others would also be able to participate in the camp.
Yeah, like that.
They're not going to join the county. It's over. We've kept our debt low the entire time we've been in business. No one's going to join the county. It's a sinking ship. This is a desperate move, but the right move.
It's not financial.
By the way, listen, I worked in Methodist church, my dad was a Methodist pastor. I went to all the neighborhoods, Aldrich Gate, and all of them, obviously it's Methodist. But the reason we're not just saying, look, if we were a for-profit company, we'd already sold this and we'd be done. What did a developer do? But we're not for profit. And by the way, when I showed you Beverly's home and Gloria's home, they didn't pay no. Just there's no profit in what we do from that regard. But it is heavy on our hearts to save the people. It's heavy on our hearts that we can't save the whole property. We can save the camp. Part of the camp, we can say that's our selfish part. I think the unselfish part is to try and do something with a neighborhood that's respectful to the neighborhood. And I want to show you this, just because this is what, I think this is a good visual of what we're fighting. This is the 7-acre lot right here. This is where you just did an air that for your son, right? Where is it? Oh, how you doing? That's 7+ acres for one house. Or it's 7, or it's 20, there's 20 lots. A developer would make it, hey, look, that makes that. I'm not trying to say, gee, that's what would happen. That's what we don't want to risk happening. I'll be honest with you. If we sell part of the property to a developer, and they put in privacy fences and little 50-foot lots and live back to homes and all that, we don't want the camp in that city anymore. So we're trying to protect the camp and trying to protect the neighborhood at the same time. All we do is
Good.
So the one thing that we've been talking to developers, like, if we get this plan approved, would you buy it, right? If there's no sense in that, nobody will buy it. And so we've talked to people and they said, this is not a cookie cutter subdivision. We're like, nope, thank goodness for that.
Yeah, it is.
And they said, we envision this being sold as a wooded lot, meaning no clearing, they have to build a road, they have to build a stormwater, but we sell wooded lots. And then like you would buy your house, pick your house and build your house, with as many trees as you want. So the goal is that we believe that people who want to live here for a reason. If you want to live on a lot that's all grass with no trees, don't. Why would you build here? And that this will be attractive to people who respect what's here because they can live somewhere else. And this is really, really unique. So this is not easy to build on because it's small. When I work with developers, less than 500 lots, they're not interested because they want to blow and go. Within 500 lots, this is 50 lots. So inside that area to the south is like 53 lots. So in other words, it's nobody who does this is the guy who does what you don't like. Because they make more money across the street. Why do they take all this money? So we're trying to coordinate and find somebody who has the same sensibility that you do and that Doug does about we're going to be a neighbor, we want the trees. And that's all we can do. Because you're right, once the keys go to somebody else, we're not in the room anymore.
Let's set it up ahead of time, it restricts the neighborhood.
Right.
And that's our goal.
To clarify, I think people in the area, but the area that you plan to keep, with the big lots that are zoned out,
right?
But you know that it's like 7 lots or whatever. If this is approved, even if you lose that piece of property, the smallest those pieces of property could be is what's laid out on your plan.
Absolutely.
They cannot divvy those up in the smaller lots, even if you sell, because we've already approved the
They
zone.
cannot. And that's the difference between Lake Hazard and Willow Springs. You'll have to see it again. The next
Can you
thing
ask
is
that
the
question? They
development
won't call on Kay.
If the county commission says that's it,
That's how much they bought the property for, and now,
And COVID comes back, and
what
you
are they
have to
gonna make
do
it? Just,
that part in the dotted line.
Somebody was up
just ask them. No, I want you to ask it, because they won't call on it.
Did we lose that camp?
They wouldn't call me either. I'd have just blurted it out.
It restricts the development.
To the guy in the orange shirt.
to the guy in the orange shirt.
Everything.
We won't even pass it down?
Everything looks like a nail. To a developer, everything looks like a jammed in 50-foot lot. Only way to beat the developer, not that they're bad people, is to set the rules ahead.
Is there more?
And that's what we're trying to do, and I understand.
7 acre.
All we're doing, we're just trying to present the idea. That's all.
Let's get our question back on track. Ed, did you have another one?
You can wait.
I just want to know if everybody knew
This
what.
stuff, please.
They never paid for that 100 acres.
There you go.
They
What
paid
is-
$775,000.
Yes.
Right?
That's right.
It don't seem to me like it'd be that much problem for a big youth camp the size of yours to come up and pay that. To me, it just seems like y'all should be in that bad.
Oh, no, that's way beyond that. Yeah, we got that down
Wow.
to $200,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
375.
And it's appreciated a lot. Like
I
everything
went to
else.
the courthouse and looked it up, and the records state that you paid $775,000 for it.
Correct. And the mortgage is less than that. Our COVID debt is not mortgage. It's just all the other bills at the camp that we're still running while we have no income. And yeah, I mean, it's appreciated a lot. I mean, that's good news.
There's houses around here that sell every damn near that.
Hi, I have a two-part question. The first question is for Doug. Doug, have you ever been approached by any county officials, asking you if you'd like to receive a grant for the property?
We approached the CARES Act.
Yeah.
We didn't get it. I've been advised that we should probably try again, and it would help. It's just a drop of bucket, because all these people, to answer your question, we've tried, and we may try again. It's not going to cure the size.
Okay, second question. Do you know who the developer is, and in a public forum, would you go ahead and admit who the developer is tonight?
Sorry, say it again?
The developer. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. The third question is, would you commit to no borrowed pits on that property?
Swear to it. And put it in writing.
Let's think about that. First of all, once we do a PUD, and that's the picture, if there's no borrow pit on the picture, there's no borrow pit.
Yeah, I understand that. Doug, will you commit to no borrowed pits on the property?
Yes, and we would put it in writing.
On all of the 100 acres, not just your 20. Will you commit to the entire 100 acres?
Okay, now my second question is to Susan. Okay, Susan, I met you in 2019. My name is Becky Kiefer. I originally lived by the Girl Scout camp for 31 years. I just recently moved here because I ran out of my neighborhood because of our borrowed pit. This is exactly the same. We were 325 acres. It was zoned to camp. We were promised beautiful homes. We were promised a pond and the neighborhood, how it would make everything wonderful in our neighborhood. And everything was wonderful. At the time, they didn't want to tell us who the developer was. Everything was kind of hush-hush. Come to find out, here I am living in Lake Asbury. Now, there's a borrow pit. I'm the 7th person to leave my home. Everybody lost value because of the neighborhood. Yep. The person who bought the property, we lost it, the Girl Scouts sold it, and the person that bought it said, oh no, we're not going to put a borrow pit in. Right. Susan Frazier went in front of the committee. She went in front of the zoning committee. Zoning committee gave her a 7-0 no. She went in front of the commissioners, they gave her a 5-0 no. Then she left there, and then she went to St. John's Water Management, and then she made it a wastewater management.
Correct. Okay, can I correct the record?
Yeah.
Susan Fraser did not talk to the owner or the permit after the board said no.
Susan, is there a developer? Do you know who the developer is right now? Because you usually double dip. There's usually the owner and the
We're getting a little off track here. We're getting a little off track. Ms. Kiefer, I know your points of power.
Let the woman speak.
I want to know what a public
She's making a statement. She's not asking any questions.
I've already experienced. I have experienced this. Doug, everything you're saying, I so appreciate. I moved to this neighborhood, which I have a lot of neighborhoods I could chose to move to. I moved here because of that camp. I love that camp. Yeah. We ride our golf cart every day. The exit route that you guys are going to take with those dump trucks are going right by me at her house every single day.
Every day.
And I'm asking you, as a Christian man, would you want that to happen in your neighborhood? And the Girl Scouts told us also that they were going to keep the conservation area because they want to keep the camp. They said, we want to keep it a camp. Yeah. We're not going to leave. Do you know from that meeting on, the Girl Scouts never returned to that camp?
I don't know that. I went and walked the girls. I'm sorry.
Oh, Mike, you had a question. Go ahead,
I mean, they were listening. I'm asking this question because I have just left my 87, Doug, listen to me. I left my 87-year-old mother that I lived next door to on Lazy Acres Road. I lived there to take care of her. And as a Christian man, I hope you understand this. I have to drive from my home in Lake Asbury. It takes me I have to go check on it every day because I was ran out of my neighborhood because I was promised everything that you're being promised right now. Susan stood up in front of me
Hayward, that's trying to keep me quiet right now, and everybody that was there heard me. Go back to June 9th, 2020, look at the archives, and you will see me and a bunch of other people standing up, and we were all promised exactly. This is almost copycat of everything that, Susan, you can't sit here and say anything different.
But I can say that I'm approached by landowners every day, and they say, I want to do a bar pit. And we went to the board, and the board said, this is not the place for a bar pit. I never talked to them again. So, I am employed to ask. And I asked, and the county said, no, that's not the right place. But that I didn't own it, and the Girl Scouts sold it. So, if you want a cautionary tale, this doesn't work, and there's no bar pit.
Let me tell you the difference. Okay, I will.
So, Team Effort doesn't get this approved. And they sell to the same guy who's got the Girl Scout camp, and you do have a bar pit. In other words, I can't stop, and Mr. Jones can't stop the next buyer. He can say, if I get this approved, there's no bar pit. And then the PUD can say there can be no bar pit. That is, and then the county will cut somebody's leg off. They
Okay.
Well,
who's paying? Let me tell you the difference between Lazy Eggers Road and the Girl Scout camp. That was under the Brandonfield Master Plan. That is no borrow pits. Guess what? They got a borrow pit because you told him to go to St. John's Water Management and make it a wastewater management. That's what I was told. And you stood up there in front. Y'all look. And then the difference between this place is this is Lake Asbury Master Plan, and you can have borrow pits in here. They allow borrow pits in the Lake Asbury. So what is the difference?
They allow borrow pits in Lake Asbury if there's ag use of the property. So the way it was permitted is if you have agricultural use on your property today, you may ask for a borrow pit permit. And there's a public hearing for the permit, so the county can say, I still don't like that permit. This property does not have ag use. It's not eligible to be a borrow pit. So he couldn't ask, and the county couldn't say yes, because its current use is not ag.
So all I'm asking Doug is, Doug, we've never met, this is the first time I've ever met you. If she's telling you that there's no developer, or you don't know a developer, because the whole neighborhood's hearing $6 million, and the whole neighborhood is already.
I haven't heard $6 million.
Yeah. Actually,
but there is.
Actually, we were told that there was a developer if this was contingent based on its going through.
There's not. There's not.
Okay. So if you're going to hand this over, there could probably be a developer. I'm just telling you what's going to happen. If you hear about your neighbors that you've lived in a neighborhood for nearly 30 years, I'm asking you to take us into consideration when you sell a piece of property with no land use. Because all of this could turn into a fiasco. And you saying that you want to keep your camp, I would love to see that happen, but I was also promised that with Girl Scouts. And the Girl Scouts left it, revision, and I'll end with this one thing. Houses are promised, but they're not guaranteed.
Correct.
Okay? There's not a guarantee. All they need is a revision. They can tell us what we want today, we can hear it, they can go in there 6 weeks from now, do a revision, boom, all this is gone.
No, you can't.
Yeah, you can. You can.
So, Mr. Henry can tell us that 4 years doing this. If this is the plan, a revision takes signs on the property and approval by the board. So, so when you're saying you want the guarantee that we respect the community, this is it. If it gets sold to somebody whoever shows up, they will not provide you this plan.
And that's what we're trying to avoid happening. I want to walk around the girls.
We want to keep it a camp.
Hang on, just 1 second. And then I know you're picking folks. I want to walk around the Girl Scout camp, and it was heartbreaking to see what used to go on there that now doesn't. I saw those trucks coming and going. I don't want to talk out of turn, because if somebody tells me you can have a PUD and a burrow pit, then I'll come back to the community and we'll talk about that. But I will tell you right now, because the Girl Scouts have a national board. Everybody that works with team members is right there. We're right next to where they'd be digging the burrow pit. We don't want it.
Sell us the land. You got enough people in this room.
Yeah.
Sell us the land. Tell us what your asking price is. Let the community buy this. Because
if someone wants to buy it other than a developer, that would be
Try to get this back on track with some more.
rest of you are just sit here a moment. Mike, go ahead, sir.
Okay. Let me start off with something.
Please.
Let me start off with the fact that I'm a newcomer here. I've only been here about 35 plus years. I'm past chairman of the MSBD. I'm past chairman of the Lake Lawn Owners Association. I've seen a lot of this growth go on. One thing I know a lot about, because I was so much involved in getting our lakes cleared out of the county dirt. And this is part of the floodplain. I'm not hearing anything addressing the floodplain, because you're going to introduce a lot more sediment into our lakes.
A lot.
So when you do development, you have to get a permit. And the permit is, so when you look at this plan, you don't see in other parts of Lake Asbury a pond. So,
No. Wrong. That's wrong.
I'm not wrong, but let me get it for you.
Yeah, you are.
Okay? So all of your lots slope to the lake, right? All these lots. And there's nothing between your driveway and your barn and your house and the water. And so you put fertilizer in and it goes in the lake, okay? When you build a subdivision, the water has to go to the pond.
Ma'am?
Hold on. And the pond is intended to settle out any contaminants. That's what it's for.
What are you going to do about that?
We should buy it. We're not through. He's not through.
I want to explain something to you. We are all responsible landowners out here. We know how the water goes. I put my septic tank in the front of my yard so it doesn't go into the lake. I don't use fertilizer, so it doesn't go into the lake.
And so the
And
county,
so the county has watershed that comes directly into our lakes.
Yes.
On both sides. I know this because I went out and inspected them.
and so we also have to put any septic tanks in the front yard. That's a county requirement.
We don't want that.
So in this area, all of the counties have said, just like you, the same rule applies to us.
Well,
And if there's any,
look,
all
I
these
admire
go
your,
on the road,
I
have to
admire
go on
your,
under this.
I admire your plan.
So that's why I think.
Mike, you got any other questions? Okay, all right, Charles.
My concern is the stormwater.
Okay.
Okay, I've heard about the sewer, heard about the roads, the water. What about the stormwater? Like this gentleman says, that little pond is not going to filter all the water.
And so-
Where does that water run off to at our pond?
Okay, so you know how, you all know, okay, so you all know how water works, right? You're in the part where the floods are, so you know what's going on. The ponds have to be as big as the water management district requires. So, you're not wrong. The ponds are all rated. Okay. So the water goes to the lake, and the lake goes up. What's that called? That's called staging. So when you have a big storm event and the water runs so fast into the lake because there's nothing to slow it down, all the sediment goes in the lake. These are so that the sediment goes to the pond, and while the water sits there, all the sand goes to the bottom. Whatever contaminants.
But it still has to pop off to go
It
somewhere.
only comes off if it overflows.
Where's it gonna go? Where's it
There
gonna
will be
go?
an overflow, there'll be a pipe.
There you go.
How many of you are engineers?
Where's Walt?
Okay, hold on. Okay, so when you get a water management district permit, so it rains on this property today, right? And that water goes into the lake, goes into the ground and goes into the lake, right? Well, he's an engineer. No, I know that. But what I'm saying is, the water management district says you can take all the water that comes to you today, and you comes today. So if I wanted this to be Walmart, okay, for what I'm good at, I have to keep all the water, and I can't let it go any faster than it does as trees. That's what that permit's for. And if the district said that works, it works. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yes, my name is Shane Parks. I live over here in Canada. Without getting emotional, because the others all are, I have two simple questions. One, is this in stone? Whether you choose it or not. Is it in stone? Just tell me. You've already made the decision this is going to happen?
This is what we are applying for the county to approve. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Number two, this is for you. Sell it to us. Yes.
Yes.
Sell it to us. I can buy a portion of that land. I moved here, came back to Florida after my military career. I came back. I want to live here. I think I bought a nice place to live. Okay, trying to make what I want here. Excuse me. I'm a man of faith myself, but we don't need a clusterfuck going on back here. No offense, we don't. I mean, it appears as though you haven't tried hard enough to look for sources of income. I haven't heard anything about it.
Well,
I haven't.
we have not.
I'd like to hear about it. You know, someone here probably would be able to, you know, I'm not a rich man, but I would like to try my part. Sell me part of it.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Well, why don't you, instead of selling it, why don't we go into a partnership?
Yeah.
There you go.
So you say you paid $700,000 for it, you owe $500 now, correct? Somewhere in that neighborhood. You want to keep it open, do that. I'm sure there's the rest of us can come in here and put in a couple $100,000 and get you covered, get it paid off, the camp stays, everybody's happy.
It's a team effort.
Thank you. Hallelujah. The debt is deep in the seven figures. I don't think I'm going to get into the team effort finances except to say that's where I kind of sum it. And I'll say this. We've been reached out to, letters, emails, calls, that kind of thing, by all the land acquisitions. I guess when we put the application in, they found that out. Land acquisition departments, all these, I got one from land acquisition companies, departments for the national development companies, because it's 100 acres, they see it. We know we're not trying to sell 100 acres. And they see what they see, they want to do it. So, I don't know what, and I don't know exactly what it would be for. It's worth ridiculous, it's worth a lot of money. We know this.
How much?
It's not, for the
How
land.
much?
If anybody wants to get together and come to make an offer, you please do. And so what I'm saying is, this is, I mean, he's not looking to have development. If you want to buy the area down here and make it into a park that is owned by the community need to come.
Well, you're asking for us.
Yep.
Then come and make an offer. And so this isn't about, he wants houses. He wants cash. He wants an asset.
Are we speaking the same
Is it
language?
already contracted land?
And so when you say everyone trying to land plan the property.
Just change it. Just put five lots on it. Put 5 lots on it at 100,000.
Team effort never reached out to the community to try to get money from us. That would have been nice. We would have all came in and helped you. This is the first I heard that you guys are selling it.
Yeah, he did say he tried every avenue, didn't he?
Yeah. Did you get a letter from them? I did.
I didn't.
And we just say that the Methodist Church sold it, and they wanted to sell it because they had to, because they couldn't take it anymore. I understand that. It's the same situation we're in. What the land is worth, and without getting too deep into it, pay off the debt and set us up, because you know what's going to happen. There's going to be another summer that shuts down another area. If we're not ready for that, then we're in trouble.
If there's another variant, put them on your houses.
I don't know, I mean, I just, if it and not going to talk about, define other than say, we have a debt that's insurmountable unless we look at it.
200,000 or 600,000?
You're not a one thing, great, you're financial should be public.
It's about the money. It's creed at this point.
This guy right here said that the First Baptist Church of Milford has reached out to you guys. Have you even received calls from anybody trying
I'm not saying,
to take offers?
that doesn't mean they didn't try to help us. I'm not, no one.
If it's truly not, do like every other red-blooded American and file bankruptcy. Get yourself out of the situation that you're in and start over with your account. Why does that matter?
And we'll help you.
And then go to this community, which we are willing to help you and those kids deserve this sad land.
Our goal,
Like they're saying, they have not been given the opportunity to say that. That's right.
none of y'all supposed to know what's that land. And our goal
Let's stop right now.
Their main entrance is
Have the sidebar conversation.
They sell it, and they wouldn't sell it. They sell it in Nashville.
It was rezoned.
But the point is, the
Just the county.
Talk to the rest of us.
That's our job.
There's a gentleman over here in the corner had his hand up. You have to go ahead.
Thank you, Gator. Susan, you stated that if he closes the camp down and vacates the property, absolutely without even commissioner approval, that goes back to land fringe.
if the comprehensive plan said the county shall rezone vacant property to the base zoning district for the category. The base zoning district for this category is Lake Asbury Rural Fringe. So yes, the comprehensive plan, everyone is entitled to zoning. You can't say you have residential land use, but you can't have houses. The land use gives you the right to build residential, and you have it, and they have it. And so, it's honestly, you can't walk, the county can't say, I won't give you zoning. They have to give you residential zoning. And we're saying that that picture is better than any other picture you're gonna get from the next guy.
So, Gabriel, is your time, you know how these work, and you've been a commissioner for many years. Is that true what she's saying, that without a commissioner vote, that that's going to fringe area? That base, and that fringe, I'm speaking to Mr. Henry now, please, Susan. You can tell me 100%.
My understanding, there is some truth to that. I've not looked at this specifically because I've been out of office for several months, so Ms. Burke may have some more recent information than I have. Partly what she said, I believe, has some factual.
I think there might be some truth to it also, but I think a lot of us here need to go do some digging to see if that's true or not. I do not believe the zone campground, to change the use, you're gonna have to petition the commissioners, and I hope we all show up at the planning and zoning as well as the meeting.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Tuesday at what time?
1 degree,
Okay, what I was going to say is, I thought when I came here that the biggest problem we were going to have is how many entrances you were going to have that would not encompass all of what that possibly would go all the way to 218 or something.
And, as far as I understand it now, it's gonna be one entrance, and that's it.
Right, and once you go in, you gotta turn around and come back out. So when you come in,
Double duty on our roads.
and then you go. So right, there isn't a connection to 218, there isn't a new road.
One thing we've not even talked about, though, is the traffic situation. No one asked about that, I guess, this time.
Yes.
Yeah, we have repeatedly.
That's something we have to talk about. First, did you finish your question, Gloria?
We're losing.
It was about traffic, but she didn't answer.
Okay. This is a two-parter. First of all, who will own Lake Lark if this goes through as planned?
I'll speak in phases. So when the camp is open, the camp's gonna own Lake Lark, because it uses it for its camp purposes. It has its dock and the kids are out there and stuff.
Oh my God, just give us an answer.
Phase one, it belongs to Lake Lark, or belongs to the camp. If the camp fails, I mean, like you said, 5 years from now, the next one shows up, then
It
it's.
sounds like it's already planned. I hope you're not planned.
Okay, I'm not finished. Now, okay, that answers the question there. Now, on your little black and white map down here, where is the Lake Lark?
Where's the
I can't make heads or tails of that.
I know, that's why the colors help a lot. So there's the lake there. And so this isn't a lot layout. We were just thinking, when you look at this, you think, wow, that's a lot, but how big is it? I only do this thing so you could say, all the stuff you see over here, this little stuff, it's 4 lots for every one of those. So this isn't a lot.
We're so lucky.
Okay, lastly, who's going to maintain the dam between Lake Lark and Lake Asbury?
That'll be 2000 improvements, contracted in the improvements that the DEP has us to do. And if one day that ends up that other 7 or 8 lots, whatever it is, goes to a developer, then it's their responsibility.
So you're going to commit them to maintain the dam?
Yes, it has to go.
Enough, folks.
Susan, did you go to planning and zoning and submit plans for 74 homes and 2 ponds? And if so, how are you going to fit that on the 60 acres while he maintains 40? Now, 2 ponds, 74 homes.
I don't understand. Did I submit?
Yeah, as the consultant for Team Effort, did you draw plans as a consultant and submit to hold the meeting next Tuesday at 7 o'clock in planning and zoning? Okay, did it include 74 homes and 2 ponds? Okay, and you're gonna be able to do that with 1 acre, some 7 acres, if you add, and how big are these ponds? And you've only got 60 acres? And you got 74 homes?
So, stormwater, okay, hold on. So, stormwater is to treat the water that comes off the roof of the house or the driveway or the road, right? So when you see these little teeny lots, the lots are 50 feet wide, the house is 40 feet wide, right? So it's like a house and a strip of grass. So when these have houses on them, they're gonna be like your lot. There's gonna be a house and a lot of grass. In other words, a lot of the rain that hits the ground now is gonna still hit the ground. So these ponds will be enough based on engineering calculations and a permit that has to be issued and the county has to approve. They'll be enough. If we come back to what that pond has to be that big, there'll just be fewer lots.
I'm just asking, how big are your ponds? You have 2 ponds on your drawings.
I don't know, there's 15% of the developable area, which is what these subdivisions do. And I do these drawings all day. So 15% of the upper area is typical for stormwater.
The border doesn't go all the way around the wall.
Well, this lot, this lot is that big and that lot, that's a bigger than your lot. That's a 7 lot. So these are here, because these are all narrow. Well, but this is 7 lots. So the gentleman who's here, who's in a 1 acre lot, it's like a lot bigger than him, and this is 3 acres. So these don't have a big buffer because the lots are actually bigger than what's next door.
All right, we got a question in the back. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. I'm listening to y'all. question is it a done deal whether or not? And if it's not, I mean.
Why are you wasting our time?
When are we gonna find out if who is actually gonna be developed? When are we gonna, when are we gonna find out who is actually gonna be developed? So if the zoning doesn't pass, if it doesn't pass, what are you gonna do? Yes, what are you?
If the
gonna
zoning doesn't pass, if the zoning doesn't pass, and let me just reiterate, our whole goal here was to save the camp and create part of the neighborhood. I'm answering the question. And make the rest of this neighborhood look like, as much like Lake Asbury, and preserve Lake Asbury as best we can. That's our goal. Easiest thing to do just to sell. To answer your question, I will reach back out to the land acquisition departments of the national development companies, and I'll tell them, make your offers. And many have a flush. And that's what we don't want. We're neighbors here too. We don't want this. We really don't want to sell it until we dictate to the developer.
You're gonna sell it no matter what. You're gonna sell it if it passes or if it doesn't pass.
Why, we have to sell part of it to save the camp, and sell part of it. If that doesn't work, then, well, there are two at the end, really. Then we have to sell the whole thing. Or we go bankrupt, it gets taken by the bank and the developer.
So this is a term, and it's sold.
Go ahead.
This is all that anybody else can do. If this gets rejected, then it's a blank sheet of paper and the next guy comes in.
And our fight was to get to that point. It's not a big option, but that's
Come on.
Go ahead and be question.
My question is directed to this guy right here who says he wants to save the camp so much, and you're all looking at this whole group of people here wanting to help you save the camp, and yet all you can do is focus on like this is the only solution. This is it. We gotta sell it to a contractor. We gotta sell it to them. Why aren't you listening to other people? Why can't you hear us? We want to save your camp too.
So when we filed this application 2 months ago, how many people called us out to buy your property? How many?
I didn't know. I didn't get a flyer in my mailbox.
What's that Bible verse about love thy neighbor?
Yeah.
It's about love thy neighbor, right?
But yet you're still pushing this development. Something else is here. Somebody else has got it.
Quiet.
There is, if the camp was worth what it was, or what it did twice, if the camp was worth twice what we bought it for, or 3 times what we bought it for, it wouldn't keep him after having going to bankruptcy. The fact is, this camp is located in a piece of land where the going rate for the acreage is very, very, very high. I can't imagine. You guys want to put that kind of money out to just have that piece of land. I could be wrong, but I'll tell you, if we get it all, if we get to that point, if we get it all from developers,
He's going to get a movie stipend. That's what it is.
For the county.
Please, gentlemen, trying to answer the question.
I feel like to sell it to a church, I've been on trustees committees and finance committees of churches before, I wouldn't go for it. Because it's a sinking ship like it is. But
Like just texted our pastor, he said he wants to talk to you.
So let's do that. But the land is worth the kind of money that can get us out of debt and set us up to where we can survive when the next COVID comes along. And that's the right kind of stewardship for us as a business or a ministry to do. It's the right thing to do. The wrong thing to do is just to sell it and not even come here and talk to you guys. So we're trying to.
We're not wanting you to sell it at all. We're trying to help you. They want the money. They want the money. You want money. It's not about the camp. You want the camp. You want the camp. You can reach out to the community. We would save your camp. You want your
Okay, I'm just going to say this. I'm not going to lie to you, period. If I tell you we won't do a borough up there, and somehow they break through the PUD idea and offer us $500,000 for a borough
I'm
up there,
done.
I'll tell
I
you
gotta
what we're not
go
gonna do. We're not gonna do it. We have, our fight's behind us. Team members fought to save